Welcome to the Lawless Astrology channel. My name's Dabney and I'm an evolutionary astrologer. Today we're going to be talking about the Taurus full moon on November 5th. And we're also going to talk about the quality of this time in general. I'm going to bring in some other things that are going on, including Uranus going back into Taurus, beginning November 7th, 8th, that time frame, going all the way till April 2026. So it's kind of a revisiting. And so we're going to be talking about how we're going to get through this time, because it is dramatic, it is challenging, and it is not, as much as I'd like to say everything's going to be okay and easy breezy, beautiful, it's going to be a challenge. And how can we stay safe, sane, grounded, and find joy in the midst of all the tumult? So that's what we're going to kind of be investigating in this video. So if that sounds like something you're interested, stick around. What I do here on my channel is I look at the cosmos and the planetary energy, and I really try to simplify it and make it relevant to us humans down here on planet Earth, and so we can live a more peace-filled and conscious life. So for those of you that watch my channel, you know that I don't try to sugarcoat things. I try to tell you the truth, and I also try to tell you that I'm in it with you, okay? So I have been going through my own trials and tribulations, like I assume all of you out there. And sometimes, you know, it just feels like every day there's something new that just can be so taxing on our nervous systems, whether it's something in our personal life or the news or just the energy. I don't know that many people that are crushing it these days because there's a lot going on. And so I just started really thinking about this, and I've talked about this on the channel before, that sometimes I listen to my own internal thoughts or like the phrases that I say, and then I kind of, unpack them. And so that's something that I always encourage my clients to do as well. And one of the things that I keep saying lately is, what was the term exactly? It was just like, it never ends. That was it. It never ends. But that's not true. Everything comes to an end. Everything is a cycle. And so I was like, wow, I need to stop saying it never ends, because if I keep saying it never ends, it never will end, right? But every new thing that comes up that seems to be a challenge, I sort of had to kind of check myself. And so I encourage you to check yourself and what are the messages that you're unconsciously sending out into the universe. But one of the things that I do is I'm not really a tarot reader, but I use oracle cards and tarot cards to help ground my own thoughts. And so a lot of times when I was preparing for this video, I was really thinking about the Taurus full moon and I know there's like the straight read of it, but the straight read of a Taurus full moon is it's a time to take care of your body, and it's a time to find, comfort and to, give yourself time in nature. I mean, there's the straight read, and the straight read's very important. And so I'll incorporate some of that. But I think we have to look at the bigger picture of what's going on. And so I really I picked some cards and I wanted to meditate on what came to me. And so the first card I picked was change. Okay, so this is the Wheel of Fortune for people. It's a major arcana for people who are. This is the Osho Tarot deck. So this is kind of the change, right, that I was talking about, that everything changes. It's like whatever goes up will come down. Whatever goes down will go up. Life is continuous. It is a cycle. It is a circle. Patterns repeat, okay? And so whatever is happening now will not be what is happening in 10 years, in 5 years, okay? So that's an important thing to keep in mind. So when I'm sitting here saying it never ends, it's not true. It's a circle, and it is a cycle. And what is happening now is not forever, okay? So that's one of the first things that I want us to acknowledge. The next thing I want us to acknowledge is my second card was the Thunderbolt, which is the Tower card. For those of you that are familiar with astrology and tarot, the Tower card is one of those sort of dreaded cards that you're like, oh no, not the tarot card. That says thunderbolt or the tower. But what it ultimately is about is massive, fast transformation. It is like shocking transformation. It's earthquakes, it's volcanoes. It is just these things that shake us out of our complacency. And so in this particular card, one of the things that I want you to kind of, if you can look at, there is also a Buddha figure sitting peacefully. Okay. So when I got that card, I started looking at the patterns of what is happening now and some synchronistic things that were going on. I got Stephen Forrest. Hi, Stephen, if you're watching. Stephen is got an email list. So if you ever want his musings, please do sign up for them. Stephen Forrest is also, he's my teacher and an evolutionary astrologer, and he's incredible. And he'll be coming on again soon to talk about another house. So if there is a house that you would like Stephen to talk about, he talked about the 12th house last time, please note it below. So if you are like, I would love if he did a deep dive on the 11th house or the 5th house or, the 6th house, note that below. But anyway, his most recent newsletter was about sunspots and solar flares. And it was really interesting. And it was talking about, and it was looking at the historical correlations of a lot of solar activity and the sun kind of like spitting out things that correlates with upheaval for humans, that correlates with people acting kind of crazy, and wars and famines and things like that. When we've been in this kind of major solar sun flare period that was supposed to be starting to wind down, but I think it was peaking in 2025, and I think it's going to completely wind down by 2027. So if you want to read what he wrote about that, that was really interesting. And then also I'm in a astronomy class. Everyone wish me luck for my final on Sunday. I'm in an astronomy class, and Linnea Van Horn was talking about, who's one of the teachers. She was talking about the lunar standstill cycle. So again, it was like there's maximum and minimum. I'm not going to get into it. It's kind of complicated. But the bottom line is we are at a lunar maximum. So the moon is at its like highest declination, and so, but basically it correlates with like really intense times, and like people, it's like, the moon is our emotions, and it's kind of like extremes. People get a little crazy. So then we have like all of these outer planets changing. Big picture, what I'm trying to say is there's a lot going on that is actually making it incredibly chaotic, and like the Tower card. So I want everyone to just acknowledge and feel and understand that you're not going crazy. It really is messy. It is an S show out there. We are all in the midst of a very chaotic time that is going to result in change. The next card that I got was traveling. Okay, so this is not a major arcana, but the point of the card really is that we are going from point A to point B. And it's not like, so the change, it's like, this is all about change. The Tower, it's all about shaking us out of complacency. And then we are going somewhere else. We're going somewhere new, but do we know what that new is? Okay. So why am I talking about all that? Okay. Because we are going to have a Taurus full moon on November 5th. And so that's just a couple days away. And when you have a full moon, as you know, it's a time of release. It's a time of manifestation. It's a time of seeing things more clearly. And I feel like my meditation on this actually did help me see things more clearly. So if we look at the Taurus full moon opposing the sun in Scorpio. Scorpio is intensity, it's power, it's drama, it is transformation, it's big change. It's a time for, going down into the dark and bringing things up to shine a light on them. Taurus is about calm and survival and settling and not feeding into the drama. So they're sort of in opposition, but what we see is they do a dance together because they're both about survival and they're both about power, but they manifest it, they interact with it in different ways. And so when I think about Scorpio, I was also thinking about the election. And remember when, because, I've been watching South Park and I've been like watching all this stuff, and it's like, it feels really depressing because these people are crazy. These people are weirdos. They're misfits. They are not like you and I. Really, really hard for us to understand their motivations. What are they thinking? Like, it all just seems so unconscious. It just all seems so chaotic. And so what is that about, right? But it is all about power. And it's all about feeling powerlessness. Like, these people felt powerless. And so they channeled all of that powerlessness into a rage that's sort of spilling out. And I'm talking about not just the people in charge. I'm talking about the people that are still happy about what's happening. Okay. I think there's some people that just weren't paying attention, or they weren't bright enough to really like put two and two together. But there's some people that are still like, I'm all in, right? The I'm all in people, I can't fully understand their psychology, but I can understand that they are angry and they're filled with rage. And that rage must be deep down and they can't access it, right? They're angry that people left their town and their towns have been, left behind. And, I can't pretend to know because everybody's got hardships and difficult things, but it's what you do with it, right? So it sort of reminded me a little bit of like, the movie Carrie, when, you genuinely can feel bad for Carrie. Like, it's not fair that she couldn't be, the cool kids were mean to her. But at the same time, then there just becomes this, like, they just push it too far. And I think of our current inhabitant of the White House. And, I think about, he was always a misfit. Like, people were not, now that doesn't mean he hasn't been privileged and spoiled and entitled and given everything he's ever wanted. And people looked the other way for some pretty, like, there's been times, like, over the past 50 years that this could have been stopped. And people just look the other way, right? So I'm not saying victim in any way, but never one of the cool kids. Like, everyone always thought a little bit of a joke. And I think about, like, Obama, making fun of him at the that dinner with the press corps dinner. And, like, that was when he said that he decided to run for presidency. So it's kind of like the cool kids pushing things way too, just like a little bit too far, right? And then Carrie, like, pig's blood jumped on her, and then she, like, went nuts and, like, destroyed everything in sight. And I feel like there's some of that, like, it's just like it's all gone too far, and there's too many people complicit, and too many people overlooked the opportunities to change things when they could have and do the right thing. And as a result, there is, like, cars flipping over everywhere. And, there's just this blind rage that is unconscious and not really looking at the long-term big picture. And that's where we get this. Okay. So what do we do with that? Knowing that we didn't contribute to this. We don't, we in some ways are, we are definitely impacted by it. How many sleepless nights have many of us had? But this new moon is actually asking us to find calm in the eye of the storm. It's actually asking us to be that Buddha figure. It's actually asking us to look at our values. What do we care about? It's asking us to focus a little bit more on ourselves, Taurus is a sign that is incredibly good at focusing on itself and what it needs and how it's going to survive. That is the importance of Taurus. Taurus wants to survive, and Taurus doesn't want to be taxed. Taurus wants to conserve its energy. So it becomes like this very bodily thing. And I may have talked about in the past that, I always associate Taurus when I was first learning astrology with Ferdinand the Bull. And if you're not familiar with that children's story, it's a beautiful one where all the other bulls were running around, showing off, trying to do things, and Ferdinand just wanted to sit under a tree and smell the flowers. And that is the highest expression of Taurus, is simplicity. And coming back home into yourself, appreciating nature. Now, Taurus has a penchant for money and nice security things, the things that make us feel secure. And especially in a capitalistic society, money makes us feel more secure. And so definitely there is a challenge right now around finances. And we're seeing that kind of, I think there's a light being shined on the power structures, in Scorpio. And the sort of like chaotic cars flipping all over, and the desire to feel satiated and full, and like there's food in the pantry. So like clearly there are two things going on, like the decadence of building a ballroom and having a great Gatsby party at the same time that people can't afford groceries. Okay, so I picked another card because I was like, what do the people who watch my channel, like, what can I help them understand how to get to this place of calm in the eye of the storm, and know that this is about us focusing on ourselves, our values. It's about stocking up for winter. It's about preparing. It's about understanding that the world is going to swirl around us. There's going to be chaos. There's going to be change, yet we can be okay. We are okay. It doesn't feel like it sometimes. And that's where, for me, I had to unpack the, like, it never ends. Like, that's just that, like, defeat, right? Okay, so I picked the sorrow card, which I know seems very sad. But let me read you a little bit about the sorrow card, because I think it does actually lead us somewhere. This pain is not to make you sad. That's where people go on missing. This pain is just to make you more alert, because people become alert only when the arrow goes deep into their heart and wounds them. Otherwise, they don't become alert. When life is easy, comfortable, convenient, who cares? Who bothers to become alert? When a friend dies, there is a possibility. When a woman leaves you, those dark nights are lonely. You have loved that woman so much, and you've staked all. And then one day she is gone. Crying in your loneliness, those are the occasions when, if you use them, you can become aware. The arrow is hurting, but it can be used. The pain is not to make you miserable. The pain is to make you more aware. And when you are aware, misery disappears. So here's another quote, because it's kind of long. I won't read the whole thing. Times of great sorrow have the potential to be times of great transformation. But in order for transformation to happen, we must go deep to the very roots of our pain and experience it as it is, without blame or self-pity. So I think this Taurus new moon, and is very closely tied with the fact that a couple days later, Uranus is going back into Taurus. So I just want you to kind of feel that quality of, we are in chaos. We are feeling the pain and suffering of having to watch destruction and sadness and war and our loved ones in our communities being, thrown to the ground and tear gassed. I mean, these are real things that are happening that we're seeing. Now, it may not be in front of you personally. It may just be in our newsfeed or on TV. And that's something else we have to kind of keep in mind, is that the world, and that's part of that change card, the world has always been like this. There's always suffering going on somewhere. We just have access to it on our phones 24/7. It's our bodies our nervous systems are not equipped to deal with this level of intensity constantly. And as someone that has worked with the news media for 2 decades, I can tell you honestly that they go out of their way to find the negative stories and report those, because that is what people are drawn to. Now, why are they drawn to that? Because they want to stay safe, because they want to protect themselves. So there's this sense of like, well, if I know what's coming, if I know where the tiger is, then I can protect myself. So it's like we're wired not for this modern day where the algorithm just feeds us rage bait. It feeds us things that we want to click on to see what's going to happen and how to stay safe. And that's what I really want us to focus on, is because Uranus, a couple days later, is going to be going back into Taurus. Now, while Uranus was in Taurus, we actually have had a lot of challenging things happening. Uranus went into Taurus in 2018. And since then, and Uranus is about upheaval. Uranus is about change. Uranus, really, if I was to give it a card, it would be that transformation or change card in some ways, because it's like it's trying to get you from point A to point B, but sometimes it needs to be somewhat like shocking, and it's kind of like trying to move you, like push you. Taurus doesn't want to be pushed. Taurus wants things to stay the same. So we've all kind of wanted everything to stay the same because it wasn't that bad, right? Like for the most part, like I reflect on like the Obama years and things like that, like my life was pretty, chill, like for the most part, like, of course we all have problems and stuff, but I just think about like the news feed was not the chaos that you see today. Now, not everything's politics, but it feels that way these days. So what I'm talking about is there has been tremendous mundane, like collective change when it comes to our resources. And Taurus has to do with money. Taurus has to do with food supply. Taurus has to do with really just anything that helps us to feel safe. And so then here's where we get like the immigration conversation, so like a lot of our buttons have been being pushed because things are broken. And so Uranus and Taurus was a lot about like understanding how did everything go so wrong in 2008. Why has the wealth inequality grown so dramatically? Why does a CEO make 800 times what the worker makes? Like, productivity in this country has like gone through the roof, yet worker pay has been stagnant. And now with AI, it's again, really going through the roof, yet there's now hiring freezes and layoffs. So it's kind of this really, and that's for like another video, but understanding that we are being challenged when it comes to how we survive and our survival, because something needs to change. So it's been in this sign. It went into Gemini, which is like we got a little taste of that with like new ideas and what's coming. And what's coming really is change and potentially some kind of, it's new ideas, right? And so we're going to go back to Uranus and Gemini in the spring. But right now we have the closing out. And this is the opportunity for us to actually reflect on the decisions we have made in our own personal lives. Collectively, it's going to do what it's going to do. This is what I've kind of come to, is collectively, unless you have been tapped on the shoulder by the gods to be a change agent, and if you have, and you are a part of this collective story, you're going to know it and you're going to know what to do. But in our own personal lives, how do we find peace in the midst of this? How can we accept change but be okay? Can we accept the chaos and understand and uncertainty for our own survival, for our own sanity? So this closing out of this time over the next several months is really all about recognizing like what's going to make us feel comfortable, joyful, secure. What's going to help us ground and get into our bodies despite the chaos going on. And that's why I think there is like a connection with this full moon kind of giving us that opportunity to see things clearly before we get kind of tossed back into Uranus in Taurus. So I think there's an opportunity to prepare What's going to make you feel comfortable? Is it meditating? Is it going for long walks in nature? Is it unpacking those little things that you say to yourself that keep you down? Is it having some some cash on hand? Is it having, 2 or 3 weeks worth of food in the, finding out what are the things that you need to do to prepare for a long winter? And that's really what this is about in my mind, is the acceptance that we cannot change the dramatic chaos that's going on in the world. And then today I picked one more card for everybody. Maturity. I think there's a maturity to accepting things as they are. And that's what this is it's an acceptance that you can't control when there's sun flares and sunspots and there's, the moon is at its maximum whatever cycle. That's an 18-year thing and it's maximum right now. So all of these things are conspiring to pull us into that tarot card of the Tower. And so if the Tower is happening all around us, how can we be that calm Buddha that observes and doesn't tax our nervous system, that doesn't get depressed, that doesn't feel like giving up, and understanding that it is the wheel, it's the change, that what is happening now will not be what's always happening. It is a part of getting us from point A to point B. Okay, I think that's all I had to say on this one. If you want kind of a ceremony or something to do for this full moon, I would highly encourage you to just get out into nature. Maybe look at the moon, go find the moon. Put your hand on your heart to actually feel into your body, and take a deep breath and put your bare feet on the grass and look up and know as above, so below. We are all being impacted and it doesn't make sense. It is chaos. It is, Carrie flipping cars and people getting hurt. That's just what's happening. So what are you going to do? Okay. So let's see. Is there anything interesting that I want to tell you guys about? You can always download my free workbook. I can put the link below, my free astrology workbook. I don't send a lot of spam emails or anything. I just let you know when I have a class coming up. As soon as I get through my astronomy class final, I am going to start working on my transits class. And I did open a few readings up, but they're already all gone. So you can always get on my waiting list. All right. Thank you so much for all your support. Please like, subscribe, share. It means tons to me. And I hope you have a beautiful full moon and you feel what you need to feel to be okay during this time. All right. Until next time, Stargazers.